Hey, Parks Casino is doing some pretty cool mingle stuff. Not with me, although maybe it's time to go back and do another cigars and storytelling night. That really turned out well. But here's what I was referencing. Every Sunday, March through May, they're going to have the Sunday social in the beer garden, which is where my event was at Parks Casino, with sing along boozy brunches, dueling pianos, and special events like Cosmos with Candace Bushnell on April 6th. Wow, an evening of laughs, chats, and more with the author of Sex in the City. That sounds like a great night. Grab your friends and check out the beer garden at Parks Casino for the ultimate Sunday social vibes. Plus, this Thursday night, this is also special. Man, I mentioned Tug McGraw, and I just think about, him throwing his hands up in the air when the Phillies won the World Series. This Thursday night, a tribute to the music of country star Tim McGraw at 360 Inside Parks Casino, starring Nashville recording artist Vegas McGraw and his band in a free concert. Parks Casino, right in suburban Philly, 90 minutes from New York City. Wherever you are in the Northeast, it's accessible. By the way, the closest live table games for so much of New Jersey is actually at Parks Casino and not in AC. Parks Casino, this is how you win. Ron White is coming. The Isley brothers are coming. Chad Daniels and Kelsey Cook are coming. Psychic medium Matt Frazier, Larry the Cable Guy, Joe Gatto from Impractical Jokers. Whatever your interests, they've got you covered. ParksCasino.com for tickets. This is how you win. You've got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Thank you for the voting of the last couple of days at Smerconish.com. To what do I attribute this? Really great poll questions and intense interest in what transpired in the Oval Office last Friday with President Trump and President Zelensky and Vice President Vance. On Saturday, I asked this question: who bears the most responsibility for the Oval Office argument? 112,745 people voted. What's typical voting on a Saturday? 40,000. Many have asked, is that a record? And actually, the answer is no. In the aftermath of 10/7, and I should know the answer to this, and I don't. I'm going to find the answer to this. Maybe Maya will help me find the answer to this. We had a question pertaining to Israel and Hamas, and it drew more than 200,000 votes. We'd never seen anything like that before. And I thought that probably somebody was able to manipulate the outcome in that poll. And the people who do the sort of digital work for me investigated it, and they said no, that it was totally legit. It went viral, and that a lot of voting came from the Middle East. Remember, my Saturday program on CNN reaches CNN International. So we were subject in that case to I guess, a little bit of astroturfing, but legitimate votes were cast. Like someone added us to their listserv. Second to that is the Saturday vote. And it was a really interesting result. Who bears the most responsibility for the Oval Office argument? My vote was for J.D. Vance. 50.33%, a majority, said Donald Trump. 50.33% said it was Trump. 41.33% said that it was J.D. Vance. So, 91% and change said a combination of Trump and Vance. 4% and change said Zelensky, and 4% plus said all equally. Okay, as impressive as the Saturday vote was with more than 100,000, Sunday was pretty damn impressive as well, because the Sunday voting, as you might think, tends to diminish. I'm not on radio. I'm not on television to kind of goose it and encourage people. We had nearly 50,000 votes yesterday. Astounding. Should Zelensky apologize to Trump? And I went in that direction because a number of Republicans have said as much. They've said as much. And I said to my guest, Timothy Milanovov, who served in Zelensky's cabinet and now is at He's a professor at Kiev in economics. Great guest on CNN with me yesterday, Saturday and the prior Saturday. But if you watched the segment that I did with him on CNN, like we kind of we both understood what I was saying, which was there are circumstances in life where you apologize, even if in your heart you don't think that an apology, just want to keep the peace. It's not that big of a deal. I'm just going to eat a little humble pie and apologize, even where I don't think I did anything wrong. Maybe this is one of those cases for Zelensky, but I do not believe that Zelensky owes Donald Trump an apology. And so I was among the 87.84% who answered no to that poll question. So I knew where I wanted to go. Pardon me, I'm just looking for a note. I knew where I wanted to go today for the poll question. I just wasn't sure of my word choice. I considered the word ambush. I considered the word setup. I went so far as to look at Merriam-Webster. What literally does ambush mean? Because I wanted to know whether there was an element of premeditation. Ambush, to attack by surprise from a hidden place. Setup, something done by deceit or trickery in order to compromise or frame someone. In the end, the way that I worded the Monday poll question is this: was J.D. Vance's confrontation of Zelensky premeditated or spontaneous? Did J.D. Vance know going into the Oval Office that it was going to be game on? And if so, did Donald Trump know? Did they work it out? Did they decide that they were going to play good cop, bad cop in advance? Or did Vance spontaneously decide as the events were unfolding that he was going to, I'll use the Wall Street Journal words, oddly interject himself into the conversation? My own view, I don't think that he and Trump worked it out. I do think that Vance made a determination that he wanted to inject himself, perhaps because he's tired of being in Elon Musk's shadow, and that, like, this was his bid for relevance. And the reason that I come to that conclusion, that I don't think Trump was in on it, is I don't think that Trump is that skilled an actor. Remember, the presser was like 50 minutes long, and for the first 40 of it, everybody played nice. Everybody played nice, and it only hit the fan when President Trump said, "Okay, one more question," and now Vance seizes the moment. Like, think about it, and maybe I'm being too conspiratorial here, but as you Zapruder it, do you really think that Trump and Vance worked it out to the point where Trump says, "Okay, when I make a request for one final question, JD, then you jump in and we take this guy down"? I don't think that's what went on. I do believe that Vance arrived with this intention. And the reason that I believe he arrived with this intention is because nothing transpired preceding Vance getting involved that was a trigger. As I say, everything had been going well for everybody doing and saying and playing their role. But then, Vance now says the chest thumping Biden approach is over and we need diplomacy. And now you see Zelensky respond substantively. I think, as I've been saying, that when Vance hears himself referred to as JD and Zelensky says, "What kind of diplomacy, JD?" I think that may have irritated Vance a little bit. And now Vance just turns the table. He doesn't respond to the substance of Zelensky. Instead, he pulls the Animal House routine, as I've been saying, like, "I'm not going to allow you to denigrate the United States of America." And now it's game on. And now it's game on as between them. Tom Nichols, a guest on today's radio program, serious guy, professor emeritus of national security affairs at the U.S. Naval War College, where he taught for 25 years, and an instructor at the Harvard Extension School. And if that's not impressive, how about if I tell you he's authored books? Okay. Is that impressive? Well, how about if I tell you he is a 5-time undefeated Jeopardy champion? Now you're like, oh, who's this guy? Yeah. He wrote under the headline for The Atlantic, "It was an ambush." quote, the president of the United States ambushed a loyal ally, presumably so that he can soon make a deal with the dictator of Russia. Further along, this meeting reeked of a planned attack, with Trump unloading Russian talking points on Zelensky. Quote, another part of it, Vance's presence at the White House also suggests that the meeting was a setup. Now, this is interesting, his take. Vance is usually an invisible backbencher in this administration with few duties other than some occasional trolling of Trump's critics. See, but I don't think he wants to be a backbencher. I don't think he wants to be a backbencher. And SNL, that cold open on SNL, highlighting that Rubio was just like, embedding himself in the sofa, not wanting any piece of it, I thought was also spot on from the Nichols analysis. And then in a moment of immense hypocrisy, Vance told Zelensky that it was disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Zelensky hadn't been litigating it. Right? If Trump had never taken one more question, or if a member of the media had asked that question, if Vance hadn't interjected himself, that's why in the Sunday vote, in the Saturday vote, the correct answer was Vance. I think Vance came looking for it. I think Vance came looking for it and had made up his mind in advance. But I don't think that Donald Trump was necessarily in on it premeditated, because I think that Trump only reasserted himself when he realized the spotlight was now being shown on these two. And that's when he jumped back in. So, final poll question today after I went round and round on it. It'll be interesting to see if the momentum continues for this high voting. Was J.D. Vance's confrontation of Zelensky premeditated or spontaneous? Go to Smerconish.com, cast your ballot. Please like and subscribe and set yourself up for notifications. I really appreciate the growing audience here on YouTube, as well as those who are voting. And I'm going to say this every day for the next week. A week from tomorrow, here on YouTube, the release of what I'm describing as the Mingle movie, which is a presentation that I delivered very near and dear to my heart in Asheville, North Carolina last September. It is finally ready for prime time. It will cost you nothing. I'm just asking if you'll turn on a friend, but more about that later. Okay, see ya. Thank you.
Yeah, it'll be better for 9 o'clock to have the audio.